I'm very excited now to bring on our next speaker. Ciara, are you with us?
I am indeed.
Yes. All right, Ciara, welcome, author, Steps to Win. You've been teaching sales and how to sell, and how do we sell now, Ciara? It's all yours.
Well, let me start with something that Layla had highlighted. I just want to play you some lovely sounds from my walk. I'm based in Ireland in the very south. So just some sounds from my walk this morning. And I'd like you to listen and try and identify how many different sounds and different birds that you can hear. Okay, maybe give us an idea there in the chat box how many different sounds you're hearing. So I wanted to share that with you because a skill, a sales skill that's absolutely critical right now is the ability to really, really listen. And it was wonderful to hear Layla highlight that too. I shared with you the beautiful sound of birds. I feel there's a lot more of them tweeting right now, or maybe it's us that has slowed down a little bit, but listening to birds and listening to nature helps us to hone our listening skills, because we're not listening in order to figure out what we're going to say in response. And a lot of the time, that's how we listen. We're listening in order to respond instead of to really understand. And that's a critical skill right now, is to listen in order to understand. So I want to share my screen and walk you through a few slides that I prepared. And this is a conversation by all means, so please feel free to join in.
And by the way, Ciara, just so you have your answers, we had 4 in the chat room. We had a few people say 4, and then others once said 8.
8?
The birds.
You could be right. You could be right. I'm not a bird expert, but it's all about just really, really listening, okay? We could have a bird expert on their challenges. I'm not quite sure.
All right.
So, you know, when I was speaking with clients at the very early stages of this, one in particular kept saying to me, Ciara, I'm freaking out, I'm freaking out. And from that, I actually developed a program called How to Refocus and Rethink Our Business, because what I realized was that all we have control of is our reaction to this. And being proactive, being you know, on the phone, being virtual with our clients and really, really listening to them is what's going to help us to ensure a quicker recovery. And I have made new connections, maybe about 500 or 600 over the last 2 months in running these refocus workshops. And what I have been really shocked and horrified by almost is that people pulled back and stopped connecting with their clients, feeling it's not a time to sell right now. And while it's not a time for the sales pitch, it really, really is a very important time to be conversing and listening to our clients. So let me walk you through 10 critical sales skills that we need to be developing, or that you need to develop in your team. So listening. It's important that the client feels really, really understood, and you're not just waiting to try and talk about something that you are doing, that you're really asking the right questions so they feel understood, connecting with them on a personal level. And the great thing is that, you know, people have time to call you back. People want to connect with you right now. I read a statistic that before COVID, 13% of buyers would connect back with salespeople. Now those are a lot higher. So it's a great time to open up more conversations. But of course, personalize every touch. And it's not about blasting people. It's about really being specific and personalizing and positioning yourself as that trusted advisor and as that educator. If they don't know what you're doing in your business, how you're preparing, how you're creating that safe environment, then they're going to be listening to your competitors. So it's about really helping them to think through how they can prepare their business also, and asking a very important question: what is a challenge that I can help you with right now? I think it's a fabulous time for collaboration, and it's wonderful to see all the different collaborations that have created, and people just from opening up and talking and feeling that need. Talking about results, really, really important, and making sure that you are part of helping them achieve those results. It's going to be too late when their business reopens, or when they feel that they're strong or getting back there again in 2 months' time, and you're then asking them for business opportunities. They're going to say, well, where were you? Where were you when I really needed you, when I was really trying to figure everything out? And, you know, it's very important to be on that journey, to be pointing out different pitfalls and helping them to avoid them, and understanding the purchasing process and aligning to that, because it's probably changed. It's probably got harder for them, especially in big companies, to get something over the line. So it's really important that you're understanding that. And of course, showing your value. Now, when I say value, it's not about how, you know, a better rate or that kind of thing, how much you can lower it. It's all about them being able to say, you know what, I can't do my job as well without working with you, without working with your team, without the skill set that your company or that you bring to the table. And also being a resource for them right now. And I hadn't realized it until you know, a lot of people were calling me up and saying, look, Ciara, you're speaking to a lot of hotels or a lot of agencies, a lot of people in the industry around the world. What are you hearing? And that's really, really important to them, because when people are in a state of, I don't know what to do, they look at other people. What are other people doing? And you can be that very valuable resource in bringing those that information to them. And whereas before this, we might have had very serious goals set for your team, that you have to be bringing in 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, whatever it is per month. Now, perhaps we need to shift those goals to focus in on what's going to help us achieve our more long-term strategy, such as how many meaningful connections are you making? How many great conversations are you having? What are the really great questions that we can be asking our clients? So to relook at the goals, because what worked before COVID isn't necessarily going to work right now. And having conversations that are building trust and confidence. This is a picture of my dad and me. And, you know, I still remember those feelings of elation when he threw me up into the air. And of course, he caught me every time. And your client needs to feel that. That client needs to feel that, because they're placing their trust in you. They're placing their reputation in you and the brand of their organization over your brand. You know, that's what incentive trips are all about, especially too. So it's really, really important that you're building even more these levels of trust and confidence. And being proactive is a good thing right now. And it's helping to position you as that trusted advisor, as that partner, instead of positioning yourself as being the supplier. And you do not want to be positioned as a supplier, because you'll just get hammered for rate. You want to be in that partner position, and really genuinely being authentic, genuinely caring, genuinely going on the journey that they're having, and figuring out where your skill set, where your company can help align with them to get ready. And what can you do to get ready? Well, Diane mentioned my book, Steps to Win, and this is a process that took me 3 years to get out of my head when my children, I had twins, were very, very young. I realized that it takes time to get clarity and to distill something to be quite simple. So this is a process that I've realized that buyers go through to help them make a decision. So number one, how to stand out and sound different. If you're not happy with your value proposition, if you're not happy with how You are positioned against your competitors. Now is a very important time to be changing that and aligning that to what your clients need. It's a wonderful time to be looking at your sales tools and to retool and to redo a lot of the tools, because what worked pre-COVID isn't going to be enough anymore. The whole cleanliness, safety, all of those standards have to go in, but so much more than that to align with attracting more of the right kind of buyers. And writing proposals that win, it's a great time to do that. When I work with clients, it can take us a few hours over and back, but it's a very worthwhile investment of your time. Building a healthy sales funnel. What a great time to be doing research. What a great time to be building that database and to be looking at what was a profitable piece of business and making sure that you have a strategy around attracting more profitable business, because we can't go into just taking business for the sake of taking business if it's not making a loss. Our companies have already been making a loss over the last few months. We have to look at what's profitable, what makes sense. And, you know, the wow product experience, it's a show around in the event industry, but how can the client experience your product, your service from the comfort of their home, from their laptop, from their phone? Word of mouth marketing, repeat clients and referrals, they're all fabulous. Do we have a strategy in place for them? But in these 4 steps, that is where 80% of leads are lost. So if you want to figure out where to go, what to spend your time on, I would suggest these 4 steps. So to share some insights from the buyers, this is in the event world. They're all wondering, what does coming together to meet again look like? You know, are you partnering with them and helping them to figure that out? This is a conference that took place in China in the last number of weeks. Yes, everybody's wearing masks. Yes, everybody temperature tests and all of that. But, you know, it still looks comfortable. And there's a good decent amount of people in the room. They're checking with vendors to see who's there. You know, if your business isn't there, if it doesn't look like it's alive, if it doesn't look that from the website even that it has addressed COVID-19, they're figuring you're closed, and that's not going to help them sell to their stakeholders, to encourage their stakeholders to give them confidence that yes, it's time to get back out there. They need to know that. And what are you doing to prepare for the recovery? And it's really about finding that balance between feeling comfortable getting together again and overcoming those levels of fear that exist. It's not time for the sales pitch, but it is a fantastic time for conversation, and people want to have conversations. Conversations create cash. Great expression that I heard from somebody a number of years ago. You're not going to make that cash tomorrow, perhaps, but it's about filling that funnel for the next few months, and you know, inviting people to that virtual cup of coffee or tea. A great way to start a conversation, even with a stranger. How can I help you? How can I help you with a challenge that you may be facing right now? And the art of listening is not to hear what someone says, but to really hear how they feel and to write that down and to observe that. I ran these rethink sessions that I was telling you about, Diane, over the last number of months. And from that, I really listened to what people were saying, to what their big questions are, to what their fears are, and to what they need to know next. And I've developed 2 new training programs as a result. One, how to sell in a crisis, and the other, ready for recovery quicker. And that came from really listening to my clients.
Right,
So it's
from listening and then having people more than one perspective tell you what they need, then that says, well, it's not what, and you know what, I think that's the biggest lesson here, Ciara, is listening. It's not about telling people what you did or that you do, but it's about listening to what is needed. Yeah, it's about being able, there's a conversation frame. It's about being able to open up the conversation, really helping the client to open up, to tell them what you need to hear, which is getting your questioning technique right. And then it's about knowing what to do with what you heard and being able to align that to your business, to your expertise, and to your service. And if you're not the right person, that you're still helping them and referring them to somebody else, and you're collaborating on that. So this, I would like
like everybody to spend a little bit of time on this. Just 5 minutes. How long do we have? If we can take a few minutes and just jot down, what can I be spending more time on right now? And in order to adjust, in order to tweak your business. Just give you a few minutes, 2 minutes while we're here.
Yeah,
right?
because we have about 5 minutes, Ciara. And then after this, we have a chat room. So, Jim, I know Jim is prepared to run the question by. So let's see where we go with it. Okay.
Great. Let's see what people come up with. And then I have, so even maybe take 2 or 3, and then I have a few questions to walk you through in these areas of adjustment to help you think them through a little bit. So maybe just take one of them right now. And I want you to ask yourself, why is this important to you? Okay? Because what happens with motivation is motivation can disappear. But if you've linked it to something that's really important to you, that's what gives us the inspiration to keep going. What's the situation in that adjustment today? Okay. When this is done, what will it look like? Again, that's going to help us to get it done, right? We might have 10 things that we want to do, but if this is the most important, what is it going to look like when it's done? What's required to move forward? What's required to move forward? What support do I need and from whom? What support do I need to get this done and from whom? What's likely to derail me? And how will I respond? We all know how many distractions are out there, right? My WhatsApp, all those notifications, everything had to go off my phone because you can just get sucked down another alleyway. And focus and energy is what we have right now. We have control over those. So know in advance what will derail you and how you're going to respond to that. How much progress or how will I measure my progress or my success? Very important to know when we've got there. And what's my next or my first step? And ideally to put a date around that. So and of course, are the team ready? Are they upskilled? Even if they're furloughed right now, there's a lot that you can be doing to really help them to reach out and teach them to ask better questions, to create more of a connection. Emotional intelligence, I feel, is really, really missing in the sales process right now. If anybody is interested in this, I think it's in the resources, but I just put your name in the box there or your email and I'll send it to you. It's a guide on how to lead your sales team through COVID-19. And
Yes,
I'd really love to hear.
Yeah, we do have that, Ciara, just so you know, we do have that
Great.
in the resources. Yeah,
Great.
absolutely. But,
and if you can type in the chat box there, perhaps, what's one thing? What are you taking from the last 20 minutes of your life that you would that you're going to take with you into your future and take some action on?
Yes, and I think that was one of the key questions Jim was going to open the chat rooms on. But before you leave, before we move on to that, Ciara, I just have a couple of questions for you. Is what if I'm furloughed? What if people are furloughed? How do you sell if you're furloughed?
There's no selling and having conversations. LinkedIn is a wonderful tool to be able to reach out to your contacts and open up conversations with people. Also, how are you minding your brand? This is a wonderful time to build your brand. Nobody can take that from you. And what is your tone? How helpful are you being in your social media presence? It has to be positive for sure. Are you helpful? Are you generating ideas? And through that, it's a great opportunity to open up conversations. You don't have to use your your work email. There's nothing wrong with calling people and asking how they are. There are some great relationships in this industry, but there's also a lot of people who have just been responding to RFPs and sending emails. And if you're one of those people, I would really encourage you to look at how you can be developing further and deeper and better relationships with clients. So those are a few easy ways.
Absolutely. And I think you brought up so many good tips. Did you notice I was listening?
I saw you taking notes. I was very impressed.
I was taking notes for sure. Thank you very much. But so a couple of things too with this, Ciara. You mentioned, going back a few slides, to put a date down. And I know that's critical, because when we're self-disciplining ourselves, Just as much as you want to go in and clean out a closet, I learned if I say, well, I'm going to work in that closet for 20 minutes, 20 minutes might evolve into 2 hours, but I have those numbers in my head and that's not overwhelming. Is that the theory with putting a date down to accomplish things that you were referring to?
Absolutely, and put it somewhere visual. You know, if something isn't visual, it can tend to get lost. So I have my calendar in front of me. I come in the morning and I know exactly what I'm going to accomplish today or this week, what I need to work towards. So I start with the end in mind, break it down into little tasks, and try and put some dates around that. The calendar, it may not always go that way. I'm homeschooling as well at the moment, but at least if it's visual, you have a schedule around it, it's going to help then just, okay, what am I going to do today?
Right. And so basically what you've been sharing with us, which is, it kind of ties into what Layla and Stephanie, you know, just the responsibility as in a sales management position right now, a sales leader. How do you motivate people for when they're coming back from being laid off, for example?
Yeah. Well, keeping in touch, keeping them engaged, letting them know, you know, that you genuinely care, and offering them some free education opportunities. I think, you know, that they're welcome to join this webinar,
Right.
that you've put this on for them. It's not anything that's obligatory, but I think keeping them engaged, investing in them still, so that they can see that there's a future there for them.
Well,
Very,
just so
very
you know,
important.
some of the comments in chat when we asked what you're doing between now and May 30, creating new webinar content, launching a global survey on the pandemic work from home experience. That's a good one. Key components, someone commented, touching base with clients. You know, you brought this up, and you know, my world is all the sensory, but there is no replacement for hearing someone's voice. When you hear my voice, you hear my soul. And that's the human connection involved, right? So thank you so much. Oh, one more here, creating virtual sales content and virtual tours. That's a good one. All right. Yeah. So Ciara, thank you very much.